Okay, in this video, we're going to tie together some of the things that we learned in the first two videos. We talked about the print statement and we talked about variables, assigning values, and doing some arithmetic. So what we're going to do is we're going to write a program and we're going to do a distance travel program. And the idea here is we're going to compute how far somebody has went based on their speed and the amount of time that they were going at that pace. Okay, so I have the idle app open. I'm going to go to the menu and go to File, and I'm going to do New File. And I'm going to create myself a Python program. So we're going to do a program. Assuming there are no accidents or delays, the distance that a car travels down the interstate can be calculated with the following formula. Distance equals speed times time. So we have a formula. Distance is equal to speed times time. Okay, this is the formula that will allow me to get my distance. So our distance is typically measured in miles, right? Now it could be kilometers depending on where you're from. Speed, typically in miles per hour, and your time, typically in hours, but could be in seconds or what have you. But for the purposes of our program, we're going to measure it in hours. Okay? So what we're going to do is a car is traveling at 70 miles per hour. Write a program that displays the following. The distance the car will travel in 6 hours, the distance the car will travel in 10 hours, and the distance the car will travel in 15 hours. Okay, so what I want you to do is figure out how we would do that. Okay, so again, our formula is distance is equal to speed times time. We're going to assume that the car is traveling at 70 miles per hour, and we're going to write a program that displays the following information. The distance the car will travel in 6 hours, the distance the car will travel in 10 hours, and the distance the car will travel in 15 hours. Okay? Go ahead and pause the video at this time and type of your program, and let's see what you come up with. Okay, so how'd you do? Well, let's talk about the program. So the first thing we probably want to do is come up with some variables. Okay, so I'm going to create some variables. I'm going to call one distance. I'm going to set equal to 0.0. I'm going to set one up called speed. Set that to 0.0, and time I'm going to set to 0.0. Now, why did I choose those variables? Well, first thing is I know I'm going to have a formula that was given to me. I'm going to need values for those variables. Now, the names that I chose are meaningful to me, meaning I understand what distance is, I understand what speed is. It makes sense. You know, if you stick with variables like num1 or x or a, while those are good if they have a purpose, for a formula, so like if you're doing the Pythagorean theorem, right, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, I can see value in using a, b, and c. But for this, I have a formula, distance equals speed times time, so why not have variables for that? Okay, so I've declared my variables and I've put them in as 0.0. So essentially I am declaring that this variable is going to hold a floating point number. Okay, and I just chose 0.0 as a holder. Okay, now it says it wants us to find out how far the car had traveled. So I need to solve for distance. So distance is going to be equal to whatever my speed is. Well, the speed in this case was 70 miles an hour. So up here, I can set my speed to 70.0. That way here, I can just put in my speed variable. And in this case, my time is 6 hours. Okay? So I'm going to calculate what the distance is this first time. And then I'm going to print the distance traveled in 6 hours is, a quote here, and I'm going to put distance. Okay? So I'm going to print a string. This is the distance traveled in 6 hours is, and put the distance. That's my calculation here. I'm then going to do another formula. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this. So I'm going to highlight it, go to Edit, and Copy. I come down here, Edit, and Paste. And I'm going to change the 6 to 10. And then I'm going to copy this line of code. So copy it and paste it. And I'm going to change this to 10 hours. And then I'm going to copy both these lines again. Copy. And we'll paste this down here. This time, instead of time being 10 hours, we're going to make this 15.0. Now, I know you're saying to yourself, okay, I didn't really need this time variable. And that's true. But what you could have done is something like this. You could start off saying 6.0, right? And then I could have put time here. Down here, I could have then redeclared time as equal to 10.0. And then I could have put time here. And then again, done the same thing down here. You know, redeclare time again to 15.0. What that does is it helps to see that the formula is the same throughout the program. So either way will work, okay? The funny thing about Python is technically you do not have to declare a variable until you get ready to use it, okay? So I really don't even have to declare distance. I don't have to, but I would tell you as a best practice, it's probably not a bad idea to do it. Okay? So what we have here is we have a variable called distance, set to 0 for now, and then speed is set to 70. We have a time of 6 hours, so we do our formula. That should give us the distance. We do the same thing here and the same thing here. Okay? So I'm going to go up here and run my program. So I'm going to go to Run and Run Module. We're going to have to save the code. That's fine. I'm going to go into my trusty Python folder here, and I'm going to call this one distance travel.py. Go ahead and save that, and there we go. So the distance traveled in 6 hours is 420. The distance traveled in 10 is 700, and the distance, oh, I forgot to change that. Ha, go back and change that. This should be 15 hours. Okay, so let's run it again, just so we have the right output. There we go. So you can see that I have in there. Now the problem is we look at this in one, we don't know what 420 is. Right? I mean, what is that? So we want to add something to make sure we know what that is. So in our program, what we can do, just go to our program, and we can just put another field after our variable. So we can put miles. Down here, I can do miles. And then down here, I can do miles. Again, making sure I separate my my arguments or my fields or what have you here with commas. So if I run it again now, oh, it doesn't like, I forgot my double quote there. Okay, I forgot my double quote there. So let's try this again. Okay, and there you go. So now I can see that I have traveled so far in so many hours. Okay, so this is a nice little program that will kind of tie together the first two videos, because what we've done in here is we've been able to declare some variables. We've printed some output, and we've also done some arithmetic operations. Now, we only did multiplication here. We could do more, but for now, this is kind of where we're at. We will do another video here in a while that'll have a little more complex mathematical algorithm to it. But for now, this is what we got. So take a look at that and kind of review it, see what you think, and hopefully this will help you out with the application of some of these very fundamental functions in Python. Okay. As always, if you have questions, feel free to get a hold of me. If not, I bid you good morning, good afternoon, or good evening.